BBC News with Sue Montgomery. The UN's World Food Programme has described the Russian blockade of Ukraine's ports as a declaration of war on global food security. The head of the WFP, David Beasley, said it could push millions of people worldwide into famine. Our diplomatic correspondent, James Landale, says it won't be easy to save the grain sitting untouched in Ukraine.
The only solution really is to go by sea. Odessa is the only potential port. The trouble is that is blockaded by the Russian Black Sea Fleet. There is also a huge defensive minefield that has been laid by Ukrainian forces to defend the city. So to get food out, get grain out, would require the Ukrainians to remove those mines or agree to them being removed, and secondly, some way of deterring the threat from the Russian fleet.
The US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has said 20 countries have stepped forward to supply additional military support to Ukraine. He said he was particularly grateful to Denmark for promising to send Harpoon anti-ship missiles to Ukraine. It's thought the weapons will greatly extend the striking range of Ukrainian forces. A Russian diplomat has quit over his country's invasion of Ukraine, calling it bloody, witless and absolutely needless. Boris Bondarev was a counsellor at Russia's mission to the UN in Geneva. Our Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg, says such acts of rebellion are rare.
Over the last 3 months, there have been very few signs of open dissent within Russian state institutions. But what Boris Bondarev has done, he has not only resigned as a diplomat, he's basically stormed out and he has publicly criticised the Kremlin. He said, "I've never been so ashamed of my country." He talked about the aggressive war unleashed by Putin against Ukraine and the entire Western world.
The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is under pressure to explain photographs that show him drinking at a gathering in Downing Street at a time when parties weren't allowed because of the COVID pandemic. The opposition Labour Party said the images showed the Prime Minister lied to Parliament when he repeatedly insisted all COVID rules had been followed. Here's Chris Mason.
The Prime Minister, I'm told by someone who was there, instigated this gathering. It was rather ad hoc, and then he and some others left, and at least one person at that event was fined, but we know the Prime Minister wasn't. The challenge, I think, long-term for the Prime Minister is this: that further chips away for many people at the extent to which he is candid and believable and ultimately honest. His argument, though, is that all of the evidence was handed over to the police. He wasn't fined for it.
BBC News. The World Health Organization does not believe the outbreak of monkeypox outside of Africa requires mass vaccinations. In an interview with Reuters news agency, a senior official said the primary measures to control the outbreak were contact tracing, isolation and safe sexual behaviour. He said immediate supplies of vaccines and antivirals were relatively limited. More than 30 people are reported to be missing in the northeastern Nigerian state of Borno after being attacked by suspected militants at the weekend. Witnesses said the victims from the town of Ran were fired on by gunmen on motorbikes when they went into the bush to fetch firewood. Several escaped with gunshot wounds. The President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, has described the killing of a prominent women's rights activist and lawyer as an execution and said federal officers were involved in solving the case. Cecilia Monzon was shot dead by 2 gunmen while driving her car in the state of Puebla on Saturday. A 52-year-old student in Bolivia has been jailed while investigators look into allegations he was wrongly being paid by the state for his student leadership position while never graduating. Prosecutors say Max Mendoza has been enrolled at a public university for more than 30 years. Here's Will Leonardo.
Max Mendoza has been the head of the influential University Confederation of Bolivia for several years, reportedly receiving a government payout of more than $3,000 a month, a salary akin to the president's. But prosecutors say that student leadership position requires a bachelor's degree, which the eternal student has never achieved. Reports say he's flunked 100 exams with a 0 score and various courses ranging from engineering to law. Mr. Mendoza has denied wrongdoing. His case has raised concerns about student leaders in Bolivia and their hefty salaries.
BBC News.